request. Thanks, y'all. All right, sorry about that. Technical difficulties to start us off, but we're ready to go. All right, so we're here for what's new in Centime for 2024 and beyond. My name is Allie Collins. I am the Chief Marketing Officer here at Centime, and I have a great panel of folks from our product and sales teams here to talk to us about all the new features that we've released in 2024 and some exciting new enhancements that we have coming up in the next few months, next year, etc. So really excited to take y'all through some of that. I will start with the agenda for today. I've got a few little housekeeping things to go through, and of course, we'll introduce the panel in a little bit more detail. We will take you through a sort of what Centime's cash management vision really looks like today and how that may have evolved. I know on the webinar today, we probably have a good mix of customers who've been with us for a really long time and customers who are brand new, and how we talk about cash management has evolved a lot in the last 12 months. So excited to kind of introduce everybody to the cash management story as we're seeing it evolve today. We'll walk you through some of the great enhancements that we've made to our accounts payable solution. Lots of really cool AI power features there. Lots of really great workflow enhancements to our accounts receivable module, and some really exciting new stuff that we're doing for expense management with File. And then at the end, if we have time, we will do Q&A. If you have questions in the meantime, please do go ahead and submit them, and we'll respond to some in the chat. If we have time, we'll do live Q&A at the end, or we'll answer throughout the session. So definitely want it to be interactive. And in fact, if you'd like to tell us in the chat where you are calling in from, we would love to know and welcome you to the group. So on the housekeeping side of things, just to note that we are recording. We did figure that out at the beginning. So I will send out a link to the recording as well as this slide deck in case you need it for reference or want to share it with anybody. We will make sure that that's part of the post-event follow-up email that you will get within the next 24 hours or so. Like I said, we're taking your questions live, so put those in the Q&A session. We're on the chat. Let us know where you're dialing in from. And then just one quick note about today's session. We've got a mix of attendees today. We've got some customers who've been with us for, like I said, for a long time, who may have only been exposed to certain pieces of our product. We've got some more recent customers for whom this might be a little bit of repeat. And then we have some prospects and people who are just starting to dive into Centime. I do want to say that, we're not going to get super deep into demos. We're going to assume that you have some base level knowledge of what we're doing in these modules. If you at any time want to go deeper on anything like that, I will give you instructions on how to do that a little bit later in the session. We're always happy to go one-on-one with you on any areas that are of interest. So with that, I do have one more housekeeping thing to go through, and that is our safe harbor statement. So we are part of what we promised you today is that we would give you a sneak peek at our roadmaps for AP and AR. And so we are excited to talk to you about what's in the works. But that said, the features that we're going to be showing are giving you insight into strategically what we're thinking about and what we're working on, but they're not guarantees, right? So they are subject to change. There's no guarantee, and you shouldn't make buying decisions based on, what you're seeing today. Or if you do want to make a buying decision, please talk to us one-on-one. You can speak with your CSM or your account manager if you want to go deeper and understand, what is committed and what we expect to release. So just a little bit of a CYA there. But with that, I'm going to just introduce the team, and then we can start diving into the meat of the presentation today. So like I said, I'm Allie, I'm CMO, I'm playing sort of moderator here today, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the expense management solution through File. I have with me Alex Williams, our VP of Revenue, who will be taking you through the evolution of the cash management story, as I mentioned. Andrew Waters is our Director of Product Management, and he will be talking to us about some of the enhancements we've made on the AP side and in business banking. And Stella, oh my gosh, I really meant to ask you how to say your last name. Like, I'm so embarrassed that I've been working with you for so long and I still don't know how to say it. Can you say it?
Raphaelides. That's
Oh
hard.
my gosh. I don't even know if I would have gotten it even if you had told me. So yes, Stella is our amazing product manager who's going to take us through some of the enhancements on the AR side. So I think with that, Alex, ready to take it from here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the intro. Good
You bet.
morning, good evening, everybody. Good afternoon. You can jump to the next slide. Excited to go through just a little bit about kind of where we're seeing the market today in terms of cash management, some of the trends we're seeing. I speak with a dozen or so finance leaders, CFOs on a weekly basis. And I think the old way of managing sort of multiple processes like AR and AP and cash flow forecasting, banking, traditionally has been siloed and managed in multiple different places. And I think modern systems, I think the biggest thing to focus on is how do we create more efficiency, knowing that these systems are all interconnected and help finance teams manage all of these things in one place. And so the big trend that I'm seeing as I'm, working with a lot of the folks on this call and, future finance leaders is, all the way from the CFO down to the teams really thinking about ways to consolidate different processes, driving efficiency, and hopefully leveraging all the data that's, in the systems that you guys are currently using to drive more efficiency. So I can go to the next slide here and talk about sort of all of the different components of cash management as we see them, and Andrew and Stella and Allie are going to go through a lot of the new things that we've introduced to sort of round out our cash management portfolio. Now, I think the big thing is, when you think about AP and AR and cash flow forecasting, banking, expense management, the connective tissue here is working capital. And so the reason finance teams like yourselves are focused so much on combining these things is because, if you think about accounts payable automation, it's draining working capital, right? And so Andrew's he's going to walk through a lot of the features that we invested in how to operationalize accounts payable and drive more efficiency in sort of the document processing, the coding, the payment processes. But as AP teams, you're making key decisions on a weekly basis as you're doing pay runs. Which vendor am I going to pay? How much of that bill am I going to pay? From what liquidity pool am I going to pay those bills? And so really focusing on bringing cash flow forecasting into the picture and your working capital position is really going to be a key theme when we think about the future of our accounts payable automation solution and any, next generation AP solution in the market. When I talk to finance leaders, 99% of the teams are doing cash flow forecasting in Excel. And I think the big thing that we're going to focus on, not only having a module that we're going to continue to evolve on, but baked into all of our key components of cash management is from an FP&A perspective, you can do planning, break the forecast down, but then beyond that, building it into our core products, AR and AP, so that you can make key decisions as you're walking through those operational processes. From an AR perspective, Stella is going to walk us through a ton of different features that we've developed from an AR perspective. And we also understand that AR is not just about sending emails and calling people and, paying bills, right? Or getting, customer payments. It's really about the customer experience, figuring out ways to make their lives easier, making it easier to pay, reduce your day sales outstanding, and all of those things are going to bring enterprise value and investor, confidence. And so really the big thing here that I'll kind of walk through, and Andrew and Stella are going to touch on this as well, and Allie at the end, is we've introduced some core components beyond just sort of our AR and AP platforms that can really drive more efficiency and help you, do more in your guys' system. So what I mean by that is we're going to introduce our new partner from an expense management perspective, File, that'll help you manage your T&E spend, some of the virtual card programs that you currently have and use that we can integrate there. When you think about, on the AR side, reducing your day sales outstanding, you're getting money into the door, you figured out how to extend your days payables outstanding, and you have a lot more working capital to manage, we introduced smarter banking this year, really with the hopes that you can optimize your working capital. You've done a great job with optimizing your AR and AP processes. How can we, help you optimize your cash? And so we're going to talk about key things like multi-banking. We're going to talk about key things like earning APY on your, idle cash. We're going to be talking about key themes like enhanced FDIC coverage for that money when it's above the 250K FDIC limit. So all these are really key things that are taking us from, highly operational and, very basic processes to really thinking about cash management from a more strategic perspective. And we're going to continue to deliver on these core concepts just so we can help you accomplish more in one place. So we can go on to the next slide here. And I just want to give a huge shout out. I was nominated to present this slide, but none of this was really my doing. I have the honor to, help customers and, prospective customers really, understand their business problems and recommend, solutions to them. But the really heroes for this slide in particular are all of our product folks that have worked really hard to deliver all of these innovative technologies to not only you, our customers, but partnerships, that sort of thing. But we just wanted to do sort of a 2024 wrapped for all of the folks on this call to really talk through sort of what we've accomplished this year. It's been our absolute biggest year from a delivery perspective, innovation, growth perspective. There was 18 releases this year. We included a link at the bottom of this slide so you can really get a sense of all of the enhancements that we've made. So feel free to check out that link after the call. The second thing that we wanted to highlight is there was over 50 new features and enhancements to our existing core products. No easy feat, and we had tons of folks either on this call and just in the world generally working on these features to deliver more value to you guys as the customers. And then we introduced 3 new strategic partnerships because as our customers, they oftentimes use different, systems. Like American Express is one of our new partners, File for the expense management side, and we're continuing to partner with other providers to bring more value into Centime and help you do more and leverage more within Centime. So Andrew's going to cover a lot of the major launches on AP. Stella's going to cover a lot of the major enhancements on the AR side, and Ali's going to cover a lot of the enhancements from the expense management side and File. Some things may be new concepts, some may be sort of older concepts that you might be familiar with, but really this was a huge year for us. And you can go to the next slide. I hope that, by the end of the session, it's really clear that, our vision is, not only to deliver best in class AR automation, expense management, AP automation, but really broaden the scope here to think about how can we deliver to you as the customer world-class banking and cash management solutions that really help you succeed and grow your business. So with that said, I'll pass it off to Andrew. He'll go through sort of all of our enhancements on the accounts payable side, and we'll jump in to his presentation.
Thanks, Alex. So I couldn't possibly cover everything across 18 releases. We'll see if I can even cover 4 in any kind of reasonable fashion. But I wanted to, demo these 4 major enhancements we've made to accounts payable. If you do have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out. We can go a level deeper with you. Would love to talk one-on-one as well. But as Alex mentioned, big investments across the board from us this year, particularly on the AP side. We completely revamped our invoice capture system to incorporate a new Gen AI-based model that's more accurate at capturing invoices out of the gate, and in particular does a better job learning over time to accommodate different invoice formats that our different customers encounter. There's also an auto coding element added as well that can predict GL accounts, item codes, classes, locations, departments, in addition to all the raw data that's captured off the invoice. And it does that simply by learning how you've processed invoices in the past. This pairs with PO matching capabilities that we rolled out for our customers that do reconcile their invoices against purchase orders and receipts. We're looking to take as much of the pain out of that process as we can by automating that and giving you the tools to manage any exceptions between invoice, PO, and receipt. And then on the payments and finance side, we rolled out our supplier portal and some supplier card enrollment workflows that help you identify card acceptors and initiate enrollment campaigns so you can get more spend onto credit card rails. And we're particularly excited to have launched our high yield business banking offering in partnership with First National Bank of Omaha, our partner for all the payment and banking solutions in Centime. And this gives you the opportunity to offset a lot of your AP costs and gain real-time visibility into your financial assets. And before I jump into the demos, I also wanted to take a moment to highlight one of those new partnerships with Amex. Centime customers now have the ability to onboard and use their existing Amex corporate and business cards to make AP payments within Centime, basically combining all of what's good with virtual card payments and AP. They're secure, they're fast, they earn you rebates with all of the benefits you're enjoying today through your Amex program. And by onboarding the card onto Centime, you can drive more spend onto Amex and get more and more from those benefits. And with that, I'm going to jump over to the demo. And we'll take a look at supplier card enrollment. So it's all well and good to say, yep, there's benefits of processing payments via card, whether that's Amex or Centime's credit card program. But the obvious question is, how do I identify who I can pay? And how do I get them enrolled to accept payments? And there's a lot of AP payment and AP automation companies out in the market today that have taken a very aggressive approach to this problem. Basically, they'll step into the customer supplier relationship and they will, reach out to suppliers, call them, email them, push as many as possible to accept cards so that they can get a piece of that interchange revenue. At Centime, we've seen how this has played out in the market for the last 10 years or so, and we've decided to take a very different, a much more customer-led approach to the problem. We want to give you the tools to identify and enroll suppliers while giving you the full control of your supplier relationship and full agency over how payments are going to ultimately be made through Centime. It's your money, your card, your choices that you're making always. But to help you get the benefit of card payments, we do a couple things. First, when you first onboard into Centime and anytime you add a new supplier going forward, we can check your supplier list against a list we maintain of likely card acceptors and flag any suppliers that are likely to accept credit card. Now, just because a supplier is known to accept cards in general, unfortunately, it doesn't mean that they're expecting to receive a card from you. It doesn't mean that they necessarily will receive a card from you. So how do we bridge that gap? Obviously, you could call them on the phone and ask them, but we want to try and build some automation, support you in this endeavor, and we do that through our supplier enrollment process in Centime. So if I go over to request payment profile here, I can, for any supplier or subset of suppliers, kick off a campaign to reach out to these suppliers via email. This is going to draw on a customizable email template. Email is ultimately going to go to the primary contact I've set up on my suppliers. And this message is fairly generic, just soliciting, how would you like to get paid? ACH, credit card, check. I can obviously tweak this to be a little bit more targeted, more focused on getting those likely card acceptors enrolled in card payments. And I can, customize it, change it case by case for different suppliers or groups of suppliers. When they get this email, they'll be invited to log into the supplier portal where they can securely provide their payment preferences, including ACH details or whether they'd like to be paid via card. They can also, within the supplier portal, see any unpaid invoices that are pending. So there's some benefit to them as well as offering how they'd like to get paid. Now, you'll never be able to get all of your suppliers accepting card. That's the reality of it. But with these tools, we want to push the needle for you and get some more of your spend onto card rails while giving you full control over that supplier relationship. Now I'm going to jump over to the invoice processing side of the house and talk through that AI capture and coding and PO matching flow. So the starting point is going to be submitting an invoice document into Centime, just like always. And whether that's PO-based or not, that's going to go through our capture system, which uses a combination of OCR to digitize the document, and then an AI model to pull out all the information we care about, both at the header level, my supplier, invoice number, dates, and at the individual line level as well. For example, I've got 6 line items coming off of this original invoice where the descriptions, quantity rates, and amounts. Getting this right is foundational, whether I'm ultimately going to be sending this for approval and posting it back or matching it against a purchase order and receipt. You can see this one's been identified as a PO invoice. That's because we've captured a purchase order number from the original document. And through our sync with NetSuite, we have access to the list of open and available purchase orders for this vendor. Our goal with purchase order matching is really twofold. We want to make the easy cases easy and give you the tools to handle the harder cases. And by easy cases, I mean when the invoice does match a purchase order and receipt, we want to compare line by line the invoice and those documents and flag for you that, yep, this is a perfect match. You don't need to do anything. So all of my lines check out. What I ordered and received is matching what I just got billed for on the left here. All the coding information has been copied from the original purchase order to the invoice. So all that remains is for me to just go ahead and post this invoice back. I'm good to go. No need to approve this since the purchase order was approved already. Now, not everything is that easy. We understand that discrepancies do happen between the invoice and the purchase order or receipt, and these can take up kind of an inordinate amount of time as well. In this case, we want to clearly identify those issues and then give you the tools to help resolve them with your team. So I'll bring up a similar example, but if I go to the line matching tab, I'll see that this one has a couple concerns highlighted. The first is that there was a sales tax line on the invoice that's not present on the original PO. This might be fine. Might be able to resolve this and just accept that I have a line on my invoice that's not going to be represented on the PO. No stress, that's fine. We'll still pay it. But more concerning, I have a mismatch between the rate on the original purchase order and the rate that's been sent to me on the invoice. Now, again, if I do have kind of the business context and authority to resolve this, I could do it, right here and now as the AP user who's processing the invoice. But, perhaps in this case, since there is a price discrepancy, I'm going to have to bring in some member of my team for help. So perhaps in this case, I need to send it to the original purchase order creator who can weigh in on whether, this new rate is valid and we'll just update the original PO to match it. Or maybe this is an issue that I need to raise with the supplier directly or escalate further. I can use our existing approval framework to send this to someone for review, and they can jump into the system, see all the context, see any notes that I've added along the way, and make any adjustments. Cool. And last but not least, I want to touch on business banking. So I'm going to jump over to the banking module here. This is available to all Centime customers, whether you're on AP, AR, or both. The banking module as a whole gives you visibility into any bank credit and loan accounts you choose to connect to Centime. That means I can see my balances and even individual transaction detail all in one place, all in Centime. And it also gives me the ability to freely make transfers between these accounts. So if I've connected multiple bank accounts, I can, anytime I want, for any amount, initiate a transfer in Centime. And again, this is just free for anyone who's using our AP and AR modules today. But the star of the show, at least in my eyes, is Centime Checking Plus. This is our high yield, fully liquid checking account that's offered through First National Bank of Omaha, currently earning an industry leading 3.5% annual yield. And very simply, this gives you the opportunity to earn interest on your AP float and transform cash used for supplier payments into a source of income for you. It can even offset the cost of your Centime subscription. We have a couple customers who are getting Centime AP, virtually free because they're staging their AP spend in the account. Similarly, for AR customers, if you use this as a destination to deposit funds, you can get some additional interest on that money as it moves into your organization. Now, any idle funds that you add to Checking Plus will earn this high yield immediately. But what we specifically recommend for AP customers is that consider using this as your AP account. So by staging, your monthly AP spend, and Checking Plus, and then making your AP payments from Checking Plus directly, that ensures you get the full benefit of the high yield for all payments that are pending or in process, getting the most from your float, essentially. And lastly, I'll just call out, in addition to the high yield, you may have noticed we've got an operating account and a sweep component to Checking Plus. This is because we do obtain expanded FDIC coverage by using a sweep account. So if I deposit more than $250,000 into Checking Plus, that'll automatically get swept into a network of accounts so that I can get full federal insurance on all of my funds deposited there. And just to illustrate this with some numbers, so I mentioned accounts currently earning 3.5% APY. Let's say my monthly AP spend is $300,000. I know some customers do a lot more than that. That would give me an annual interest of $10,500, probably a significant chunk of my Centime subscription. Now, again, I know the demo portion was fast. If you're interested in hearing more, do reach out. Happy to go into more detail. To close things off, I just wanted to give a view into what we're thinking about going into 2025, and then we have a poll. So a couple things that we're specifically excited about it. This is by no means comprehensive. We'll have a lot more things coming through the pipeline, both big and small, but three kind of major themes that we're thinking about. One, supplier relationship management, building on the supplier portal and enrollment flow that I talked about earlier. We want to provide more support for onboarding and gathering documentation from new suppliers, whether that's W-9s, proof of insurance, etc., via Centime, via the supplier portal, and being able to keep those documents up to date, month on month, year on year, whatever your needs are. Also looking at providing some support and automation around any compliance process you have to run with new suppliers. Really excited to grow our supplier portal and be able to tackle kind of more of your business needs through that. We're also going to be rolling out some expanded payment capabilities so that you can support more of your AP payment needs in Centime. We're looking at domestic wires and incorporating foreign exchange and cross-border USD payments directly into Centime so that you never have to jump to a second system to make those payments once they're approved. And we'll also be looking more broadly at scalability and workflow efficiency, especially for customers with higher volumes of AP payments and invoices. Want to make it easier for you to summarize, plan, and execute your tasks a little bit more efficiently. So stay tuned for an expanded and more helpful documents table in the payables module with additional detail on POs, any related POs, invoice header coding to help you kind of sort, understand, prioritize your AP tasks. Also going to be looking to make navigation through the system much faster by improving the user experience in a couple areas and maybe some raw page performance as well. And then specifically for folks who have PO-based workflows, been gathering a lot of good feedback since launch earlier this year. And we'll be making some improvements to give you better visibility at a glance into the status of an underlying purchase order, as well as summaries of any invoices that have mismatches that are being worked on. And all of these things have been influenced, will be influenced by feedback from you all. So, please continue, share feedback with us, share feedback through your CSM, and we'll be listening. And with that in mind, I want to close with a poll and ask, what area of Centime AP would you like us would you most like to see us invest in? Thanks.
Yeah, so poll is live for you guys. I'll leave that up as we transition into talking about AR with Stella. So please do respond to it. It'll really help us think through, prioritizing these areas and what's most important to you. If we didn't cover what's most important to you on the AP side, please tell us in the chat. And keep in mind that this is specific to AP. We'll ask you again, spoiler alert, after Stella goes through the AR roadmap, we'll ask you some for feedback on that one as well. So please do weigh in. I also dropped a link to a blog post in the chat that might be of interest. If Andrew's commentary around using our bank account to stage your vendor payments and potentially get some return on your vendor payments through that 3.5% APY. Drop that in the chat. Go take a look at it. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Stella.
Awesome. Thanks, Allie. So I'm very excited to take you through some of the significant updates to our receivable solution for the year. Before diving into the demo, I wanted to kind of categorize these and organize these updates into our primary objectives for receivables. So our first being to fully automate all communication with your customers. So creating one source of truth for your customers to recognize and have just a really clean and simplify that communication process. So key updates here include invoice delivery and customer level workflows. Our second goal is to help you prioritize your work. So, you guys have many customers, many open invoices. How can we help direct your attention to those accounts and invoices that require manual action? Updates here include automations, which was recently released with customer level workflows, and then a number of enhancements to how tasks can be managed and work within Centime. The last pillar here, collaborating effectively. We know often the collections team requires help from members outside of the immediate, accounting team, whether that's customer support or sales. We want to give you the tools to bring these people into the process as seamlessly as possible. Key features here include shared views, as well as enhancements to custom fields and the ability to pull data in from your general ledger. With that, I will dive into our demo account here. So I'm using Centime to automatically deliver invoices as soon as they sync to Centime. I'm also automatically delivering any invoices when a significant update is made. So if I've updated the amount or the due date, I want to automatically make sure that my customer has the most accurate information, and Centime is taking care of that by automatically delivering it for me. Moving into customer segmented workflows, the majority of you are using invoice level workflows. So this is what we've always had on Centime, and these workflows chase individual invoices. The trigger here is always the due date. So what we're doing in this example is we are following up with our customer on 7-day intervals, starting 14 days before the invoice is due, all the way through 28 days after the invoice is due. I've also added a little reminder for myself, escalating any invoices that reach 28 days overdue. This is great for a lot of your customers, but we know some of our clients have customers with very high volumes. So if you're invoicing your customers multiple times a week, multiple times a day, you don't want to flood them with reminders and confuse them. So what we've introduced is the ability to follow up and communicate with your customers in a holistic way. So here you can choose the cadence that you would like to check in. So I'm sending this reminder to my customer bi-weekly on Tuesdays. I also want to further limit this. So I know often there are a high volume of invoices open for this customer. I actually only want to notify them when they have an overdue balance. So here I'm going to set a threshold. These reminders will not go out unless the customer has an overdue balance of $500. This takes care of my reminders to the customer. What I also want to do is help escalate work to myself. I'm going to create those in automations. So automations have a lot of flexibility. One key use case for automations is internal escalations. What I want to do is set up some reminders just for myself so that I know what invoices, what customers require my attention. And I'm going to set this up using the event of invoice days past due. So once an invoice goes beyond 30 days, I want to send myself a reminder to review the account. I also want to weed out, I want to make sure that there's a certain value overdue. So similar to the workflow, I want to limit this to only notify me once a customer has an invoice that is over 30 days due and an overdue value of over $500. So this sets up, one reminder for myself. What we've done is we've made it very easy for you to kind of build on these, and as you get more comfortable with them, add to how you want to prioritize your work. So maybe at 35 days past due, this is when I want to call the customer. So I'm going to keep this the same. I'm going to change the action to call and adjust the trigger to be 35 days past due. Oh, and I want to assign it to myself. Next, I want to bring my customer support team into the conversation. So often, with Sophia, they're meeting with our clients on a regular basis, and they might, have a new email address. They might have the information that can really help unblock the invoice, identify what's going on. So I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to keep invoice days past due as the trigger, and this is going to be for Sophia to call. And since I've called at 35, I'm going to ask for her help at 40 days. In order to properly identify her, I've pulled in a field from the general ledger that has customer success manager stored. So whenever an invoice goes beyond 40 days overdue balance exceeds $500, the customer success manager is Sophia. I'm going to give Sophia the task of calling. And I will save this. So depending on how great your team is, you can easily duplicate these rules, create one for Wyeth, and maybe add additional escalations to this process. This is all great. That said, every time you bring more people into the process, you introduce more confusion, more questions for yourself that you're now fielding. Now I'm answering Sophia's questions about what invoices are open. So we also want to make it easy for your team members to access the information they need to actually take action. We know within receivables module, we have a number of data points. We're pulling in a lot of information from the general ledger, and you have done a lot of work to create views that highlight the most relevant information for you to complete your job. So here I've added a custom field to leave a note. So any most recent notes on collections, seeing what workflow the customer is assigned to. I also want to know who the specific sales rep is, just so I know who I might want to ask about the contract. And I'm bringing in my customer success manager. Once I create my view, I've set up all these custom fields, and I have a very clear vision of my collections work. I want to give this information to Sophia and Wyeth. So now when you go to save a view, you can easily share this view with those team members. So now when Sophia and Wyeth log in, they will be met with this display rather than having to ask me, what information is required and kind of fumble around themselves. So the goal here is to really automate all communication, to escalate your work, and to give you the tools to collaborate effectively. We do know there is more that we want to do and can do to better improve this process. So we have a number of updates that are kind of in the near-term roadmap. Similar disclosure to Andrew. These are all, being worked on, but nothing 100% set in stone. So one thing that we think will be valuable is creating some preset views. So you can create as many shared views as you'd like, but Centime wants to kind of help you do some of that work. So the first of these views is a view of your collection activity. So here we're bringing in additional data so that you can easily see the last action that Centime took, whether that was an automated action by a workflow or an email that you sent. We're also pulling in the next automated action that Centime is going to take. So when you log in, you can easily see the state of quad design. You can see what the last time you touched the account. You can see the next time an automation is going to touch the account. Second goal here is to help you move your customers to online payments, help you move customers to Centime Pay. We know a goal for our clients is to stop receiving checks. That's a great goal. We want to give you the tools to actually monitor this and take action. So here we're pulling in some data from our customer portal. Have they saved their ACH? Have they saved credit card? When does that credit card expire? When's the last time they logged into the customer portal? Just some data so that you know exactly, your payment behavior of the payment behavior of your customers, and you can identify customers to move off check and to move on to Centime. The next two items here are more about communication. So the first, this is an update to our the manual emails that you can send from both the customer and unpaid tabs. We want to allow you to select the specific contacts you want to email. So here you can select a role. This helps you take action in bulk. You can also add a one-off email if you're just CCing your CFO or whoever it might be. The next item, this is an enhancement to our connection with your general ledger. So we know often contacts are stored in custom fields. This might be a name, this might be an email address, this might be some characters, whatever it is. We want to give you the ability to import that data, to make it a contact in Centime, or make it a role. So with this, we're allowing you to turn a custom field into a contact and designate whether it's an internal contact or an external contact. So last, just a summary of kind of the near-term items. The last one here is the only new one, which we didn't have beautiful visuals to share. But very large goal for us next year, or a primary goal for us, is to tackle cash application and reconciliation. So some items on the near-term roadmap. Similar to Andrew, we've got a poll. So this is just some additional items that have come up, and we'd love to get direct feedback on, what would be valuable to you guys. So appreciate you taking the time to give your feedback.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stella. Lots of great stuff cooking up in both AP and AR. Hopefully everybody's excited about those. So please do respond to that poll. I have launched it. And once again, if you don't see what you're looking for on the AR side in the list, please do tell us in the chat. So I am going to take over sharing for this next little bit. So I would like to talk to you about our newest strategic partnership, which I am very excited about, expense management powered by File. So as Alex mentioned, oh, let me spotlight myself here. I've been doing that. There. Okay. So as Alex mentioned, we really feel like the cash management suite, a really key piece is expense management. I heard somebody refer to expense management as internal AP recently, and I think that's a really smart way to think about it. So we really wanted to bring expense management into the Centime experience, because a huge part of your AP is definitely the T&E that your employees are spending when they travel, things like that. So we have partnered with File to bring that into an easy way to bring all of those things together, really seamlessly integrated with whatever accounting platform you're on, and able to see all of that in a single place. So some of the key features of what you'll see if you want to see a demo of File are easy employee expense reporting, faster reimbursements. They're super card agnostic. We chose to work with them in large part because they are one of the most card-friendly solutions out there, whether you have Amex, Visa, MasterCard, or using Centime card, all integrated really easily there. You can get real-time visibility into all of your spend. You can also create really efficient approval workflows and set policy for your team and enforce those, which is really important. I know a lot of growing businesses don't have travel policies in place. Employee spend is all over the place. And so being able to set a policy, ensure that it's followed, and set a workflow that's automated to make sure that every expense gets approved appropriately, really powerful. As I mentioned, they also integrate with NetSuite, Intact, and QuickBooks. So anybody on this call that's an existing Centime customer should work with your ERP. And best of all, we are offering the solution free to anybody who uses Centime card. Obviously, that is subject to credit approval and minimum spend requirements, but definitely talk to us about it if it's something that you're interested in adding. And just a quick teaser into, how simple and easy to use this is for your employees. You can see in that GIF right there, you're seeing a transaction coming through. So if I made a payment to Starbucks, File would immediately detect that, send me a text message saying, hey, I see you bought a latte at Starbucks. Please reply with an image of that receipt, and it will automatically match that. I did exactly this in the airport last week whenever I went up to Boston for a trip. It was super easy. The employee experience is great. And I know it's also great for Ted, our finance guy, who, this is really simplifying the approval process and the expense reporting process for him. So lots of reasons that this is a great solution that we really recommend that you check out. So that is it as far as what we have to show you today. Thank you for participating in the previous polls. I want to do my final poll here I'm launching right now, which is really the opportunity to ask you, how can we help support your cash management strategy? Thinking about all those different ways, pieces of the cash management puzzle. We know some of you are just on AP, some of you are just on AR, some of you are brand new to Centime. Please let us know if you're interested in learning about any of these features, AP, AR, banking, expense management, or something else. If you need help with something else, tell us what that is in the chat or reach out to your CSM and we're happy to reach back out to you. So I'm going to leave this poll up for you to respond to while I go through just a couple final housekeeping items, and then we'll take any Q&A if you have any. Just want to remind everybody that if you write a review of Centime on G2, they will send you a $50 gift card. It really helps us so much to get your reviews. It helps us to make others aware of what we're doing. And we will compensate you for your time with that $50 gift card. So why not? Also, if you have people who are not on this webinar that are on your team, that you think might be excited to get a $50 Amazon gift card, send this link to them. They can do it too. It's not just one person per company. We'll take as many folks at your company as are willing to respond. They can each get a $50 gift card. Likewise, if you if you have any other friends at other companies in finance who could benefit from Centime Cash Management, please let us know about them. This link will let you submit a referral. I'll post these in the chat as well. And like I said, I'm going to be sending out this slide deck within the next 24 hours in the email follow-up. But if you do refer somebody to Centime, we will send you $500 if they, meet our qualification requirements. So please do submit that to us and let us know if you know anybody who would be interested. So with that, I haven't seen a lot of questions coming through. Seems like we've gotten some good feedback on the roadmap so far. I haven't seen a lot of questions though. Does anybody have any questions that they want to give to our team before we wrap up here? Check in all the places you could be, Q&A. Maybe we magically answered everyone's questions. That's great to hear. And I see a lot of you are wanting to learn more about our solutions, which is really awesome to hear. So we will definitely be in touch about those things. If there aren't any questions, we will kind of end it here. And as a reminder, that recording is coming out very soon, and we will be sure to follow up with you if you indicated that you need help with learning more about something. So thanks for spending the afternoon, or depending on where you're at, the morning with us. And yeah, we appreciate your time. Have a great one.
Thanks, everybody.